I'm joined by Acacia Leroy, a trend strategist for Trendwatching based in Singapore. She's kindly agreed to speak to us about what she does, what the firm does, and hopefully she might be able to enlighten us about any trends in Southeast Asia that we should know about. So Acacia, thank you so much for joining us.
No problem. Thank you for having me.
Great. Can you start by telling us what is it that Trendwatching does as a firm?
Alright, so Trendwatching is a consumer trends firm. It's set up back in 2002 out of London, and now we have offices in Singapore, in New York, Sao Paulo, as well as Lagos. And what we do is that we map out the consumer arena, and we look at innovations, emerging products, services, experiences, and we ask ourselves, why do consumers buy these things? And because once you know why they buy what they buy and why they do what they do, you can always take that insight and translate it to your own business and your own industry, wherever you are, whatever business you're operating in. And so we basically help companies create innovations that are meaningful, that will resonate with their consumers by taking into account what consumers are already doing in the market. Because we firmly believe that future vision does not come from asking consumers what they want, because your consumers don't really know what they want. So what you have to do is really just observe them, what they're doing out in the market, how are they interacting with the kind of products that are coming out in the market, and then you can take that, write reports on consumer trends about it, and then take those insights and use them to innovate for your own businesses.
Okay, well you say you observe them. I mean, what's your particular role? How do you observe them, and how's it different to normal market research?
Traditional market research is usually backward-looking, so they see how many products have been bought in the past 6 months and what does that say about consumers. But we pride ourselves as nowists, so we look at what's happening now to give us an indication of what's going to happen in the future. So what I do as a trend strategist for Asia Pacific is firstly to track all kinds of publications every single day. So I read a lot of things and trying to capture like the best, newest, most innovative products, services, campaigns out in the market today. And we also have, at the heart of our business, we have our Trendwatching Insight Network, or we call it TWIN. So these are our spotters on the ground, people who are freelancers like yourself and myself, and people who are passionate about consumerism, what's happening out in the market, and they just send us a constant stream of insights of what they're seeing every single day in their markets. Because if I'm sitting in an office in Singapore, I have no idea what's happening like on the streets of Jakarta or on the streets of Vietnam. But people who live there in the cities and they know what people are like, they know what's going on, they know what kind of products people are going on all about nowadays. So they send us all these insights, and we just aggregate them, we analyze them, we spot patterns, and then we have our tool called the Consumer Trend Canvas. So we use it to analyze the trends based on the building blocks of the trends, and then we use them to write our trends as well.
So it's sort of almost word on the street. You start analysing that?
Almost. Yeah, so it's really very organic, on-the-ground insights from what's really going on in the markets.
Okay. But what about, I mean, what have you heard on the street in Southeast Asia and Thailand that might be particularly interesting to us?
The biggest trend that we see nowadays, there are two trends, of course. When it comes to Asia, it's all about mobile and social. So at Trendwatching, we always take usual, like traditional concepts like mobile, social. They're very common concepts that everybody knows about, and we ask ourselves, so what's next for these topics? What can we say that's different, that's actually something that people need to be paying more attention to? So when it comes to mobile, nowadays we are writing a trend called all-in messaging. So it's all about how messaging applications are transforming into like a one-stop lifestyle platform for people. So not just for people to send messages to each other, and not just for brands to push content or do marketing based on like cute stickers online, but it's really becoming a platform where brands can latch onto to provide meaningful services. So for example, in Thailand, Line came out with a grocery delivery service. So you can sign up to an account and you can just message the account with your grocery needs, and then it's going to be delivered to your doorstep the next day. So it's really giving people a meaningful service, a lifestyle solution that is very convenient just on your messaging platform. And then the second one is on social. So social is all about nowadays people are on social media, creating social connections. So what's next for those social connections? And we say at Trendwatching that while everybody is already on social media, then why not use social media to create some meaningful shared solutions out of it? So for example, the latest example that we see in Singapore, for example, is this application called Airfrost. So it connects people on social media, and then so it helps you buy things from overseas. So for example, if I'm going overseas and you need something from Japan, for example, then I can bring back something from Japan and pass it to you, and you don't have to travel to Japan yourself to buy your thing. So it's really creating shared benefits out of social connections.
Okay, and so how do companies approach you for help?
Companies, it works in different cases. So for agencies, mostly they subscribe to our premium service, and then because when they do, they have access to our premium database, and our premium database has a lot of innovation examples that we track. So we put them all into our database, and we archive them so that they get access to all these innovations, what's happening out in the market. And then they always use it as inspiration in their brainstorming process or as proof of concept. So when they want to pitch a new idea to their clients, then they can show that so there's this trend by Trendwatching that's backing it up, as well as a lot of case studies out in the market that's also backing our ideas up. For brands, it's mostly to understand the consumers better. So we have 16 mega trends also for our premium clients. So these 16 mega trends are like consumer themes, big themes that don't really change. So for example, like status or the quest for self-improvements or anything around pricing. So these themes, they don't change, but what Trendwatching does is that every year we track how they change within those themes. So what's new in the pursuit of status? What's new in the arena of pricing? And then we write these reports and we give them to our clients so that they better understand what's going on in the market and how they should approach innovation in the coming years so that they can keep abreast of all the change that's happening.
Okay, great. Just lastly, what do you think the future for Trendwatching is, and how will technology play a part in the future of what it is that you do?
Well, technology will certainly play a big part in a lot of things that a lot of people do. But the future for Trendwatching really, especially in Asia, I can speak more about what it's going to be in Asia because that's where I am. In Asia, we really want to have more of the organic insights that we're currently getting. So our aim is really just to have more people on the ground to really send us really good insights that we need and more granular insights as well, because that's what most people are looking at the moment. And we want to localize our trends as well. So like our 16 mega trends, they are global in nature, but we do have plans to localize them for all the local Southeast Asian market. And I think the project is in its initial stages now, and it's becoming really promising, so I'm excited about it. And how technology can help is really like what I mentioned about the messaging platforms. It's really one way to reach more people in a sense because it's very convenient, and then people are very much used to messaging applications. So Trendwatching, we're going to practice what we preach and start messaging channels to reach people better, because one of the insights that we get from our spotters is that sometimes it's so much of a hassle to remember what you're seeing on the streets, and then you have to write an email about it or submit it on the portal online. But if we have just like a messaging platform that's very convenient, and they can just snap a photo, write a small sentence about it and send it across the Trendwatching, it's going to make the whole process easier. And so yeah, we're going to use one of our trends and implement it to make our business model better.
Great. All right, well, Acacia, that's been wonderful. Thank you so much for speaking to us.
Thank you again for having me.
Okay.